Get ready.
Hi, this is Kaz Riley, and here we are again, Trancing in the Sheets. And I've got a super great, wonderful lady with me today. But before we go over to her, just to remind you that you were sent a link when you joined the network, and you need to go and activate that so you can have your $200 gift card that you can use against things like hotels and car hire. And if you'd like to know how gift cards and travel incentives can help your business, then just put the word solutions in the box below. But today I have with me probably one of the most prolific authors in the area of hypnosis. She's a treasured and much loved mentor of mine, a true inspiration to me and many others. She's been working in the field of hypnosis for many, many years, and I am so proud and happy to introduce Shelley Stockwell to the show today. Thank you for coming on the show, Shelley.
Hi, Kaz. God, I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you. You're amazing. And now I get to be between the sheets with you, which is even more fun.
We do have some great fun together, don't we, as well? You know, we've been sightseeing in London and all kinds of things, and we get lots of work done, which is really super cool.
Right. It's been beautiful. I for those who don't know Kaz personally, I will tell you she's one of the most fun people to hang out with on the entire planet. And she took me all over London town, and boy, it was just a laugh a minute and beautiful and inspiring. Great times. Great times.
It was. Oh, we did. We had a ball, didn't we? Thank you. That's so sweet. So, Shelley, you are the president of the International Hypnosis Federation. That's hypnosisfederation.com, isn't it? For anybody that's
yes.
out there. How long have you been the president of the International Hypnosis Federation?
About 34 years.
Okay.
I founded the International Hypnosis Federation with a very famous hypnotist named Orman McGill. And we founded the International Hypnosis Federation because at that time, other organizations were not honoring spirit. And we felt this work is inevitably going to take you through body, mind, and spirit, because we all are kind of spiritual beings trying to find meaning in a dense physical world. And if you can open that channel of heightened awareness, what happens is people get happier, they feel better, and they feel like their quest has been realized. And I think most people who come to see me and see you are on a quest to feel happy. They come because they want to feel great about themselves. Well, and hypnosis brings you to spirit and yourself.
Absolutely. It's that feeling good about feeling good as well. So we get people sometimes that feel good and they don't feel good that they feel good, which is... But my International Hypnosis Federation certificate is on the wall behind me in pride of place, which I know when I put it up there, I sent you a photograph of because I was so pleased to be that. But I mean, you have been very active. You've had a high profile. You've got some great stories to tell in the hypnosis world for a long time. Am I allowed to ask how many years you've been a hypnotist?
Yes, over 40 years. And for those who don't know, I was a flight attendant with an airline called Trans World Airlines, which got eaten by another airline, American Airlines. But TWA, we used to call ourselves Travel with Angels, and TWA was this great airline, and I became a hypnotist because I saw a hypnotist once, and I stopped eating sugar for a year.
Wow.
And so I said, well, I want to be a hypnotist. And it was really hard in those days to find out how to do it. Nobody would teach you. And eventually I became a hypnotist, and I hypnotized pilots and flight attendants for many years. And that's all I did. And I was the in-house hypnotist for my union, the International Hypnosis Federation of Flight Attendants. And I used to go around the system and train people to deal with stress and jet lag. And I was very, very good at it. And it was a little bit different in the world because there were not a lot of women hypnotists except for one, Pat Collins, who was a stage hypnotist.
Yeah.
And she was at Hollywood and Vine. I had been hypnotized by her on stage once. She was a very dramatic, wow kind of lady with long nails and, lashes and the ratted hair. But that was the only woman hypnotist I ever met. And I was it on the airline. And then I began going out into the public and teaching people in my community about hypnosis. So I was always standing in front of maybe 50 or 150 men at the Elks Club, the Lions Club, whatever, a service organization, a Rotary Club. And I would talk about hypnosis. I remember the year was about 1971, and I was giving a talk on hypnosis, and this man raises his hand and he goes, "Now, why would an attractive woman like you want to do some weird thing when you're swimming upstream, called hypnosis? Why would you want to swim upstream?" I said, "Well, when you swim upstream, guess what you get to do at the top?" And he said, "Yes, and then you die." And I said, "Yeah, but what a way to go."
Wow.
And so there was such a misunderstanding. And sometimes I would be introduced, and here's Shelley Stockwell Nicholas, the hypnotist from Rancho Palos Verdes. And I used to be a former beauty queen. I used to be Miss Redondo Beach, they big flurry, our beauty queen and our this and that. And I get up there and some introducer at some club, a guy, of course, would look at me, and he'd go, don't hypnotize me, really scared. And I'd say, "I already have."
Oh, bless you. It's amazing, isn't it?
And his face would go red, everybody would laugh. And, so I was very playful with it. But then it was really interesting too. Like when I would speak, there was a major organization that used to have big conferences. They're kind of failing now, but they were back on the East Coast. And I would go there, and when they got going again, they had a hiatus and then they got started again. But anyway, I went to their conference and I would speak, and then all the attendees would vote for the best speaker of the year among the 90 presenters. And I would get a call from the person who helped count the ballots. He'd go, "Shelley, you won the best speaker of the year at this conference." And then they'd give the award the next year, and I'd never get it. It would always go to some guy.
That's
because
really interesting.
because in this field, it was a good old boy network. And the woman was not acknowledged. On the front of their magazine, there was never a picture of a woman. If you walk by the organizers, they'd stick their nose up. But when I was with Orman McGill, or one of my friends I taught with, then Orman got all it was a very sexist profession in those days. I won the award, 2 years in a row. I never got it. And actually, I was very lucky because they threw me out of the organization when I hypnotized chickens for the Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh,
and when I hypnotized 12
because this is just
chickens.
One of my favorites. So you hypnotized 12 chickens for the Guinness Book of Records. This is one of my favorite Shelley stories. So tell us about this, because it's
okay. So at that time, I was doing about 20 radio talk shows a week. And I was always on the radio all over the world, different countries, and particularly in America. And I was on this one radio show once a week called Night Orange, and it was in Nashua, New Hampshire. And the host was a guy named Ken Gidge. And Ken said, "Where have you been, Shelley?" And I said, "I've been in Bali, Indonesia." And he said, "What did you do there?" I said, "I hypnotized a chicken." He said, "You hypnotized a chicken? How do you hypnotize a chicken?" Well, for those who are listening, all you do is you just put his little face out, put his nose on a line, and the chicken just lays there like. So that's it. That's how you hypnotize a chicken, right? There's other ways too, but that's what I learned from a book written by Orman McGill. And Orman was with me, and I hypnotized 12 chickens with 12 hypnosis friends, holding the chicken down along the line. Then they let go. It turned out to be a media frenzy. We were on page 3 of USA Today. We were on David Letterman. We were on the front page of the local newspaper. And the people who were running the conference, where we were actually promoting their conference, but they didn't care. They threw me out of the organization because they said I besmirched the good name of hypnosis.
Wow.
The same people who wouldn't give me the award of being the best speaker of the year. And so that just gave me the impetus to make sure that Orman and I proceeded with the International Hypnosis Federation. And it became a very beautiful organization. We have members all over the world. We have thousands and thousands of members, and we put out a newsletter, and we do all kinds of wonderful things to further this field. Because you see, maybe your listeners know this, and the people who read this book, they know this, but everybody's hip and gnosis everything. Everybody, when they find their higher self, their all-knowing self, their all-gnawing self, everybody gets high with their higher self. And they know that they're meaningful, valuable, and have a purpose in life. And so this became my driving force, caused me to write all these books, caused me to be a teacher in many, many conferences. And to this day now, I get to travel all over the world and teach people hypnosis. But now we have Kaz Riley. Now we have people all over the world that are fabulous female hypnotists, worthy of celebration, worthy of note. And I will tell you, the guys are appreciating us now as well, except for some of the old guys. Some of the old timers are still sexist. And it's a shame because we're all changing the world together. And there's just no room for that, I am man, hear me roar, and women are like subversive and submissive. And, no, we're maybe gentler sometimes. We're maybe more compassionate sometimes. But we're all loving what we do, and we want to change the world. So it's kind of neat. So anyway, I'm known as the chicken lady sometimes. I didn't know that my fame would come from hypnotizing chickens, but it has, and to some degree.
Well, it's such a cliche, isn't it? Chickens and hypnosis anyway. I mean, not quite hypnotizing the chickens, it's turning the client into the chicken. But I just love that story because there is such a cliche behind it. But what I love about that story is that, considering what happened because you did that and, being thrown out of an organization, it led to another one, which probably then freed you up to do so much more with hypnosis. And, the way we move it forward is to do stuff with it, is to experiment with it, is to write the books about it. And, if you ask anybody, then, tell anybody the name Shelley Stockwell, that you get a strong woman, great hypnotist, author, just generally lovely lady. And, that's some contribution to make to our field. I know you've done that over many years, but you've probably contributed more to the field of hypnosis than many of your peers from that time frame as well. Certainly in terms of a female contribution, it's massive, it's significant, and it definitely should be recognized. And I'm so happy and proud to have you as one of my mentors. I learned so much from you. It's
bring a tear to my eye, lady.
It's very true, though, isn't it? I mean, now as you see things moving forwards and everything moves forward, the world was a sexist place, wasn't it, in the 1970s? It's not a hypnosis specific thing. And certainly, now we see really hypnosis in terms of therapists is probably very female dominated. The training, probably, it's becoming more 50-50. And I think that's partly because, women still raise families and all that kind of stuff. And, that you can have a career and do both. But I know certainly my training took off once my children were old enough for me to travel. And, that was my choice. My husband certainly would have, taken less time at work. So it was more, more balanced than now it is. But how do you see it evolving? Because I think when you look at people like Melissa Tears, Beryl Cromer, Kelly Woods, Freya Norgen, I mean, I've had some amazing female hypnotists on here. I think there's a real kind of power behind this kind of female presence in the world of hypnosis now, isn't there?
Yes, well, I think what's happened now is women are not forced to do what I was trained to do, and that was to sit in the shadow of the men to not paint your pictures with your name but put their name on it, to not write the book in your name but put their name on it, to not take credit for something wonderful that you can do. Now, of course, we've had stellar women along the way who gave us the boat and gave us, different ways to acknowledge ourselves. But when I write a book, I do something very interesting. I will take a quote, even from that came down supposedly from ancient Greece. And if it's sexist, I change it to neutral. So it says all mankind. No, it's all humankind. I make sure that we celebrate this humanity or womanity, this beautiful blending of the male and female, the beautiful coming together of both our abilities and our ways of expressing. And women have this wonderful way of bonding, which is necessary for a good session. They have this wonderful way of holding the mirror with empathy so that the person can reflect on their perfection. And they have this wonderful way of keeping it less pedantic, less highfalutin. They'll say it in simple terms. They'll say it in clear terms. And it's extremely helpful to somebody to present an idea in simple words, in clear words, and we're not as bent on being so important. Yes.
I can just see all the comments flying out.
I know. Well, I tell people to tap their thymus, but we don't have to pound our chest.
No.
There's kind of a difference. There's a sort of gentleness in tapping your thymus or giving yourself a hug that doesn't happen when you're going, I am brilliant. And sometimes I go to a conference and I hear, and it's usually male, though I've heard it from women a couple of times. I'll hear a male stand up there and he's so busy plunking his own magic twanger and telling us how important he is that I just want to leave the room. I'm really offended. That happens occasionally with a woman, but usually it's a male thing, and it's because they feel insecure, I think. I think men are trained to do that, but it's not as gorgeous and as eloquent as a woman who stands up there with all the beauty that she holds and says, we have strength too, but we don't have to pound our chest.
No.
It's 1 o'clock.
And it's 1 o'clock, and my computer has a male voice, and I think that's interesting.
It's 1 o'clock.
Somewhere in the world it's 1 o'clock.
Somewhere in the world, yeah. Well, it's almost.
Isn't that funny? Wasn't it almost jarring to hear a male voice come into this conversation? And yet we love men, and their voices are important. It's just that it's different.
Yeah. And I think it's about celebrating the differences as well, isn't it? And, I know I've been in this industry now, I'm coming up to 20 years. So, only half as long as you, but it's still long enough to have, I've seen some really significant changes. And, part of that certainly has been the much stronger presence of females, of women in our industry at that level. I think when you look at the number of therapists, there's probably more women than men, but that, I think that's maybe the kind of profession that we're drawn into. That changed significantly when the worldwide recession hit, and there was suddenly a lot more men came into the profession, which I'm not sure if the two are connected, but it's kind of interesting. But I think we're moving in the right direction, aren't we? We're moving where, certainly if you look at a lot of the awards that have been given out recently, a lot of them are now to female therapists. We would hope if somebody was the best speaker and they were female, that they would now get that award.
That would have been nice. It would have been really nice. But now I've been given lots of awards, so I feel great. Matter of fact, I've gotten 3 Lifetime Achievement Awards. And the last time I got one, my husband said, "Hey, Shelley, you can die now."
Well, you have a very special birthday coming up, don't you?
I do. I'm going to be 75 when we have our Hypnosis Federation retreat, which is in March. It's called ihfretreat.com, and it's a retreat in Southern California. And why don't you bring all your buddies from London over to see me and from England, and we'll have the best birthday party ever, and we're going to celebrate everyone's birthday.
Cool.
In March 6th, 7th, and 8th. IHF retreat. It's a blast.
Oh, it'll just sound so much fun, and I can't imagine. Well, I can imagine, but how much fun one of your birthday parties would be.
Well, that's right. And Kaz, if you come, I'll take you to all kinds of neat places.
That would be really cool. I'm over your way soon. Actually, when we finish doing this, I'll tell you about that. But we're kind of running out of time, but. As one of my beloved mentors who I learn loads and loads from, you do realise that you're automatically hooked into doing a regular slot on Trancing in the Sheets. You got
it.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Come on.
And so just remind us of your websites, and then we've got everybody on board with those.
Hypnosisfederation.com is one website. Mm-hmm. And IHF Retreat is the other one.
Okay, there we go. So that's
and all. Shelley Stockwell Nicholas, and a legend in my own mind.
And everybody else's, which is an important thing. And if you've enjoyed watching today, and of course we all love spending time with Shelley, I certainly do, and of course lots of other guests on the show, so tune into their episodes of Trancing in the Sheets. And of course, I'm only one of 8 hosts on the Hypnosis 24/7 Live Network, and one of whom is the world's fastest hypnotist, Shawn Michael Andrews. And don't forget to tune in and find out who's he's chatting to too. There's all kinds of amazing things happening on the network, so I'll tune in and watch all of us. But there you go, if you've got time. So we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.
Get ready.